Hey, what's going on out there, YouTube? This is SDL0320 representing JVS. So I'm back again for another review. This is for Captain Marvel. So this is the 23rd, at least 23rd or 22nd film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which is a feat in and of itself. And after that is, of course, this year is going to be in April, Endgame. I will say you have to watch this movie, not necessarily as a placeholder, but you got to see certain things that wind up so you can kind of see where the progression is for Endgame. And I think that's one of the things that is a negative and a positive about this film. This very much so services the character Carol Danvers and me wanting to see where they're going to do with her, what her real capabilities are. Because this movie, about a good 60 to 70% of it, Carol Danvers really doesn't know who Carol Danvers really is. She is working under the guise of something completely different, and it's more about a movie about self-discovery of who you are, what you are, and they use a lot of different flashback moments to kind of piece together certain semblances of her mind, that by the end of the third act, like, there's an awesome moments of the third act, and you really got to kind of see like what certain spurts of what she's capable of, but it's like you never really get to see what she's truly capable of. Think more so along the lines of Doctor Strange. You kind of get to see like him just working into the fold and doing this. Doctor Strange is more of an origin story versus this one, because you're going through the progression of a person that doesn't even know who they are, let alone what they're actually truly capable of, until like the third act of the movie. And then I think that that's more so setting her up to know she can definitely go toe to toe with Thanos, if not even more so. Like, Thanos is going to catch some hands for real. But let's go ahead and break down the film in and of itself. Some of the things I liked. I'll definitely say that Samuel Jackson and Brie Larson's chemistry and their dialogue, their back and forth witty banter is very funny, very engaging, and probably the best thing about this movie, because it makes the movie feel like a buddy cop movie. Goose the Cat is definitely a highlight. I don't want to give anything away about that. This is a non-spoiler review. There's a lot of things I have to say. This is going to be a very hard review because there's so many different things I really want to talk about, negative and positive, to be quite honest with you. So Ben Mendelsohn as Talos, he is awesome. Now, I don't want you to kind of like, he's not a Killmonger kind of awesome. Like, he is more of a, I don't even want to say. He's just a very great character, and Ben Mendelsohn is just owning it. Not just that, he's using his authentic accent, and I think that I'm like, man, like, I wish I could see more of this character, because like he really was one of the highlights of this film. Now, going to negatives, I would say that Jude Law and Brie Larson are amazing actors and actress. Brie Larson, if you looked at The Room, she can act with the best of them, you know what I'm saying? But she also has to have a good script and defining presence to allow her character progression to go through, to show her real true strengths. Jude Law, I mean, he's done almost everything. I mean, the last thing I saw, I was looking at some clips of him and the young Pope, and the man is an amazing actor. And unfortunately, in this one, like in the beginning of the movie, you get to see kind of Carol Danvers and his character. I forget his character's name. Oh my gosh, how do I pronounce it? I think it's Yon-Rogg. Yon-Rogg and her kind of going back and forth training, and him kind of like trying to tell her, like, I'm help you be the best part of yourself. But of course, there's some shenanigans going on. The problem with both of these actors in this is that they don't have enough well-written dialogue to really suffice for their real true talents. Like, there's moments where, I mean, Jude Law is fine and serviceable, but if you give Jude Law a really good script and you give him some really good dialogue and really good depth, he could be as good, if not better, than what, you know what I'm saying, Michael B. Jordan did for Killmonger. But that script was not there, and unfortunately, it doesn't service Brie Larson either. Brie Larson as a character, as character members, she owns it. I mean, she definitely embraces what it means to be a raw, in-your-face soldier. She very much so carries herself that way. The problem with it is you don't really get an attachment until maybe different moments towards the end of it, and I'll bring that up because that's another strength of the movie. But most of the movie, about a good 65% of the movie, she's still trying to figure out who she is. So she doesn't know how to react or interact. She very much so feels like a fish out of water. She feels like an alien, but she really isn't, you know what I'm saying? And it's like Brie tries to fill that out, but they don't give her enough good dialogue, because there's charismatic moments with her and Samuel Jackson. It's like, wow, this is a funny moment. There's one moment in them in the diner, And like it's kind of a small spoiler, but Samuel Jackson's like, how do I not know you're a Skrull? And she just like starts to fire into like this random jukebox, and he's like, how am I supposed to know if you're a Skrull? That I don't know anything about a Skrull. And I thought that was hilarious, and it was quick-witted, but it's kind of just like, this script doesn't service Brie Larson as an actress. I think that's one of the issues with it. There's a lot of controversy behind Brie Larson. I'm not going to get into any of that. I'm really basing this on her performance, what the movie did, and what, did work and what didn't work. Now, the times that she's pinging off of other people is great, because there's a moment with her and your girl Annette Bening towards the third act that was one of the more emotional and connected parts of this, that I was like, man, I don't know. Annette Bening did a great job. I love what they did with her in terms of the twist. I'm not going to talk about that here. Another strong suit, I would say, is with Maria, played by Lashana Lynch. Lashana Lynch plays essentially Brie Larson's, or Cara Danvers' like old partner, and she's got a daughter of her own. And like those moments, those sweet moments of her and them interacting towards the third and second act are really great, because it leads me to be able to see this kind of discovery of who Cara Danvers is. To be quite honest with you, and this is not a spoiler, I don't know anything about Cara Danvers. The only one thing that they talk about, and it had to do mainly with her father, they don't even really go into. So it's kind of like you see the different flashes of different things that happen, and they do a really interesting way of doing that when it comes to the Skrulls, but it doesn't service the character to attach emotionally. There's different moments that I can kind of pick with her with Samuel Jackson, with her with Maria, with her with other people that I can't talk about, but it doesn't allow you to be to really truly connect like it needs to cohesively. Returning and reprising their roles, Lee Pace, Damon, Korath for Damon, and Lee Pace playing Ronan the Accuser. It's okay. I think that their roles are okay. Unfortunately, everybody else is a part of the Kree. I think that they have some cool scenes together, and I think that they aesthetically and the look is great, but it's nothing. I felt the same way about the Dark Order, in Infinity War, Thanos' main guys. Aside from, of course, the Wizard and somebody else. But with this one, it was kind of just like, it really didn't connect with me. I was kind of just like, kind of taken out of it a little bit. But Ben Mendelsohn, he was just great in this. Oh my gosh. What else can I say? I think that they set up some really dope moments, like as far as action and like intrigue. Like there's this really good moment in the beginning with Brie Larson, like, and she's just kind of going ham on some people on the ship. And I was just like, this is dope. But the problem is that they don't telegraph and choreograph the fight sequences well, and it's not filmed very well. I'm not sure if it is more of a lighting thing or editing thing, but it is, the action moments just don't pan out very well. Another critique is that towards the third act, when we finally get to see Captain Marvel go ham, like, she has her helmet on, and it doesn't look good. Now, to be fair, with Spider-Man Homecoming, I don't like the way they handled the suit for Spider-Man Homecoming. It just looks way too CG. It doesn't look real or practical. And I don't have off the top of my head, a good example, but, to be fair, like, when I think back to Amazing Spider-Man 2, for instance, I'll use that as an example. Amazing Spider-Man 2, when he's like in the very opening shot, he's just flying through the air, and you're seeing the chute just ripple. Like, it looks real. It looks serviceable. Like, think about Man of Steel, General Zod. Like, you don't know that suit is not even real. You know what I'm saying? And I think with the aerial fights and some of the things that are happening, it just kind of gets muddled as far as her face. Everything else on the aesthetics and just the visuals are fine. It's just the face is one of the things that they don't get right. And it kind of took me out of it a couple different times. But the facial de-aging of Clark Gregg and Samuel Jackson is some of the best I've ever seen. And that's what bothers me about this, because they get that so right. Like, every single scene is so seamless that I think it's being underrated and under-talked about, because it looks so good that I was like, this is how he looks right now. I was like, no, this man is 70-something years old. Like, he doesn't look like this. And that de-aging is just, they have perfected that. They have seriously perfected it. Like, they can make anybody and anything at this point, whatever age you really want to. And I think that this is some of the best. And that's why I'm saying, like, if you do that face that well, I would figure you would spend an equal amount of time in the third act of, like, making sure, like, the visuals and the facials and everything that's coming in and out at you, like, will make sense. Now, there's some continuity holes. I don't want to, it's 3 different ones, and I can't even talk about them. I really want to, because it really does bother me. One of them has to do with S.H.I.E.L.D. Another one, S.H.I.E.L.D. and the first Avenger / Iron Man. Another one has to do with something that happens in the first Avenger in connection to something really big. They do answer something that I think that answer, the way they do something with Samuel Jackson that we've all been waiting to hear, because there was a dialogue in, I think it was The Winter Soldier, when he was talking about something that happened to him, and he was like, he let his guard down. I was kind of just like, the way that they answered that is just genius comedy at its finest, especially the way that he handles it. If it was me, I would have handled it a totally different way. And so you'll know what I'm talking about when you actually see it. But all in all, I think that as far as the editing, as far as the writing, as far as the dialogue, those are the lower points of this film. I think that the aerial fights and a lot of the things that were happening visually and back and forth, I think those worked, but unfortunately some of the fight scenes were not choreographed well, and they weren't lit well enough, and they weren't edited and processed well enough to suffice. There is a lot of great buddy cop moments, back and forth moments, and there's different semblances of emotional packs here or there, but nothing that actually keeps me like standard in. The best thing about the film as a whole too is the presence of the 90s. Like, if you grew up in the 90s, like, I'm an 80s kid / 90s kid, and so, like, some of the things that they did, I was just like, this is awesome. I mean, of course you saw in the trailer, like, the blockbuster, but there's so many other things, especially with this taking place in 1995. Think about all the 90s things that happened in 1995. Not just that, the music choices, the soundtrack, and the score. The score is more reminiscent of, like, maybe I would say like a Daft Punk, Tron Legacy. But it also has this kind of like edge to it with certain moments. But then the song choices were so 90s. I really appreciated all the song choices. I think the problem ultimately lies with the directing, because I think that the directors worked hand in hand with the scripting. And I think that the scripting and the directing, when it comes to certain things about like just the fighting and the choreographing of the fighting, and certain aesthetic things as far as the visuals, and of course the dialogue and the scripting, I think that it would have put Brie Larson and the rest of the cast at a better kind of platform when it comes to the expectation people have for these Marvel films. And so I really just wanted to give you guys my best review with this, because I don't want you to think I'm going one way or another, because I actually was entertained by this film. I had a lot of fun. I knew that in my theater, most of the people clapped. Most of the people kind of wait to the end credits. The first end credit, you cannot miss. Even if you went and missed the whole entire movie and you saw that first end credit, you would freak out. But I recommend you, I implore you, go and see the whole entire movie. Figure it out for yourself whether or not, how you feel about it. And then the second end credits, it was pretty funny, but it wasn't necessary. It wasn't really necessary, but I think it was pretty funny. But yeah, I think that's pretty much everything. I will say that I'm looking forward to see what Brie Larson does moving forward, especially in Endgame. Given the fact that in this movie, this takes place in 1995, we will have like 20 plus years of a Carol Danvers that knows what she's capable of, knows who she actually is, and is a combination of like this talent, raw power, and then this person that is very much so human. Because most of this film, Brie Larson's character doesn't play like a human. She plays like an alien, and a fish out of water at that. And on top of that, she doesn't have the fullness of the powers that she actually has. And I think that they did an interesting thing when it comes to changing certain things about her legacy in terms of the actual comics. They definitely changed some things, and I think it services the plot, but I would have liked to seen a little bit more. And then specifically, I think know for a fact, like if there were some moments of struggle, like real emotional struggle when it comes to certain things about her past, and who she's connected with and who she's connected to, I think that would make more sense. And then there was a character in Black Panther that doesn't make sense that character is not in this movie. I don't know how to say it without spoiling it, but just to say that person is not in this movie, and they should have. Given the fact of what they said in open dialogue in Black Panther, I was like, maybe it's a scheduling conflict because that character should have been in this movie. You'll know I'm talking about a little bit later on, and I'll go into more detail about this on my spoiler review. I'm going to try to get some other YouTubers and podcasters together, and we're going to maybe do a spoiler discussion about this. But all in all, like I said, I enjoyed it. I think it could have definitely been better, and I think the thing that really hurts it is the scripting and the writing and some of the editing when it comes to the action beats. And what I mean by the scripting, I know I'm being very vague, but there's one moment, like legit, and I'll spoil it. Brie Larson says, "I don't even know who I am." And I was like... So, but again, Brie, one, is funny, talented, she's got it. She really does have it, and I know for a fact she can carry this character moving forward, because if your boy Chris Hemsworth can come back from the abyss twice and come back with perfection and nailed it, I know for a fact Brie has more than that kind of capability, especially moving into Endgame. I think she's going to be the highlight, if not one of the best things about Endgame, if they do it right. Especially with a good script and a lot of potential, especially with her connection with Nick Fury. I think that secretly, I ain't gonna lie, man, I was shipping them. That's all I'm gonna say. You'll know what I mean when you see the movie. But hopefully you guys got a little bit more insight. Hopefully you feel a little bit more comfortable, because that's everything negative and positive. I can talk about it, and I definitely would see it again, especially closer to Endgame times. But I mean, I don't know. I don't want to make any more comparisons. Keep it locked. JBS, we ain't gonna stop. Hope you guys enjoy that review. Peace, guys.